Yeah, everybody, you caught me drinking water. Here we are. We are live. It is Friday, May 27th, the beginning of summer, so they say. The Memorial Day weekend is here. It is sunny, cloudy, and muggy here in northern New Jersey. And we're here for a great weekend. And to start off this weekend, we have a very interesting individual, someone I call a friend, colleague, associate, etc., by the name of George Castro IV. And you may remember we had George Castro II on a number of weeks ago, a couple of months ago. They are related. We'll let George talk about that in a little while. George, welcome. Thanks for coming, man.
Thank you, Dave. It's a pleasure. I'm glad to be on the show.
We're gonna have some fun today. So let's just get right into our promo and then get started.
Real estate agent, are you looking to acquire clients consistently so you can grow your business and your income to live a great lifestyle? This is Dave Finale and the RE Skill Builder podcast.
And there we are. Hey, George, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. George, you've been in the real estate business a very, very long time. Wait a minute. That's not true. Anyway, you've been in the real estate business for a while. And of course, my phone rings. And I'll tell you the thing about scheduling and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't care what you tell them. They don't care that you tell them not to call you at a certain time. And I'm calling out this person because I spoke with him earlier. I said, don't call me between 11 and 12. Here he is. Anyway, so, George, you know how we start the broadcast. I got to ask you a very, very important question.
Of course.
This is Real Estate Skill Builder. Hold on one second. I'm just got to fix something real quick. This is Real Estate Talk TGIF episode 207. George, what does TGIF stand for?
Thank God it's finale.
There we go. Another great person. That's 2 weeks in a row the person knew what the answer was.
Thank God it's finale.
There we go. Awesome. Great. So we're here as a real estate broadcast to give value back to people in our industry, outside of industry, entrepreneurs, etc. Our goal is to bring as much information to entrepreneurs in the real estate space, etc. But we're also here. We are sponsored by NJHeroesProgram.com, the modern agent team here in North Jersey, and we are ready to rock and roll. George, tell me about yourself. You're a college student. You are 20 years old. You've been in the business for a while. You're a full-time agent, crushing it. Talk to me about how you got into this business, how you're able to maintain both a full-time college schedule, I believe it's 18 credits, and a full-time real estate business. Talk to me about that.
Of course. So first and foremost, thank you, Dave, for having me on the broadcast.
You're welcome.
It's an honor to be on any panel with Dave. I've been watching your podcast. I think it's a wonderful podcast. And it's an honor to be sharing this show with you, Dave. I am a full-time college student. I'm also a real estate agent. I've been around real estate, Dave, as you know, my whole life practically. My father kind of bred me into the industry. I love real estate. I love the business. But I am a full-time college student as well. So it has its complication, the time management, whatever you want to call it. I am taking 18 credits. I'm majoring in business administration at Seton Hall University. And I'm basically partitioning my time between school and real estate. So I am kind of a unique case. I know many real estate agents are part-time agents, whether it's school, whether it's another job. But it's been wonderful so far. I've been in the industry about 2 years. I guess I can say I've been in it my whole life because I've been grown up into this industry. But I do love it. I'm doing school, I'm doing real estate, and it's truly been a great journey so far.
So you used the phrase partitioning time, okay? I want to get right into this thing because this is really important. This is something I teach and I preach. I teach it, I preach it, and I live by it. And sometimes it's not easy, George. Obviously, you seem to be doing something right with this time thing. Talk to me about that.
It's really all about time management, Dave. And here at Premier Homes, for example, we get a lot of agents that enter the industry as a part-time agent, not a full-time agent. Many, I would say a good portion of real estate agents who get their license, they enter as a part-time agent, Dave, because they have their full-time job, they have their families. And I think the hardest thing to do in business is to jump into something without really knowing what's to come. You have your family, you have your steady income, you have your car, you have your mortgage. So a lot of people enter the real estate business as a part-time agent, and eventually they transition into a full-time agent. And we get a lot of agents that are part-time. Me, for example, I like to say I'm a full-time student and a full-time agent because I think I distribute my time very correctly. I focus on school, which is the most important thing to me right now. But I also sell houses. I go on listing appointments. I enjoy real estate. For me, real estate is a game. It's a hobby. I enjoy it. And I really, really enjoy school as well because I love learning. I love the knowledge that it brings. I enjoy school. I enjoy real estate. But a lot of people enter the business part-time. They start cranking the numbers in real estate, and eventually they become full-time agents, a large majority. But it's really, Dave, for me about time management. And I know we had a off-camera discussion about this: time management, managing your time, priority management, managing your priorities. And ultimately, we had a discussion, Dave, and you said, which is a very good point, you can't manage time because essentially you can't stop time. You can't do anything to time. What you can manage is what you do within certain hours, what you do at that time.
Right.
And I think it's living that time to its full potential, using that time to its full potential. And I think the people that use time to its full potential are ultimately the ones who are the most successful.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, when I look at myself, I look at my issues with time. There's so many things I want to get done in a day. And I grew up in the business similar to you, a little bit differently though. For me, my dad's with dentist. He invested in real estate, and that's how I got into it. The construction end first, licensed before that though. And I always heard my dad say, "Damn, I didn't get a damn thing done today." I always would hear that.
Yeah.
And of course, that's what I always say. And I look back this week, and I'm getting better and better. And I'm a couple of years older than you, just by looking at us, you can tell, right? Just a little bit, unless I told you.
Not too much, Dave. Not too much.
Not too much, right? So. But I look at it and I look back at this week, and I didn't do the things that I had written down to do as far as the actual action steps, but I did action steps that get me the same result. So George, when you're looking at results, are you action based or are you result based when it comes to your time setup?
I think, Dave, it's a combination of both. I think it's actions and I think it's results. I mean, ultimately, I think the way to measure your actions are by your results at the end of the day. And I think your results are a large portion of what you do in the day in and day out. So you have to take action. I mean, I hear a lot of people, for example, they have ideas, they have plans, they have great ideas, don't get me wrong, but it's really about taking action, Dave, because I see many agents. There's a lot of agents with a lot of potential, a lot of successful agents, and they have these great ideas, these great big ideas. But at the end of the day, if you don't put those ideas to action, nothing's going to happen. And that action is measured by the results. So I think they're both important. I think actions lead to results, and results is ultimately a way to measure those actions.
Absolutely. And I want to go with a step further as you really hit the nail on the head, because a lot of people set goals. Okay. You want the goal actually is, it's like the result. I mean, Not everybody sets the result as a goal. My point is really simple. A goal is a hope and a dream. Your commitment that you make to that goal is only measured by one thing, and that's your results.
Totally.
So a lot of people are action-based. A lot of people are result-based. A lot of people are, like you said, action and results. So when I talk about being action-based, if you're doing the proper actions, the results are going to come, right? So the whole thing is to set yourself up, the time up, so that the action steps you're going to take will get you the results you want, right? So it's kind of like when you say, well, I'm action-based, and you're not looking for a result, but the actions will get you results. Does that make sense? I know it's a little bit circular, but I think it makes it all.
It makes total sense, and it's the truth, Dave.
Right. So, all right. So in order to do what you're doing, having a full-time student, full-time real estate agent, is you have to manage your time, or watch your time, partition your time, prioritize your time, choose your time. The question I have for you, though, is there's some skills required to do that, because there's lots of distractions. I mean, I like to call them squirrels, right? So I need an exterminator to get rid of the squirrels, right? So I know that for me, I'll give you an example of the distraction. I'll be working on a project. I'll be doing something. I've given myself 30 minutes to do the project. And then I say, damn, I need something out of an email that has information for my project. So I've got to go to the email. Then all of a sudden I see another email that came in. I said, shit, I better answer that right away. And then there it is. 20 minutes have gone by and I haven't got nothing done.
Right.
How do you work yourself away from the distractions?
I would say, Dave, me in particular, I think I've been bred. I grew up with my father, George II. Obviously, you had him on the broadcast with a lot of discipline. He always disciplined me to stay focused. And I think that's a big word in my life and in the life of many realtors, and that's focus. It's about the focus. It's about eliminating the distractions. And the more distractions you can ultimately eliminate, the more time you're going to have on actually prioritizing what's important, your goals, your ambition, what you want to do. I've always been somebody, Dave, who's been very
Right.
focused. And it's really about eliminating those distractions. I don't get easily distracted. I know what I want. I strive towards my goals. And I mean, for people who have problems with distractions, it's about going day by day, eliminating those distractions. Obviously, you need to create habits to eliminate those distractions. Many times people have certain habits and they're bad habits. And it's about going day by day, eliminating those distractions, working on better habits, which are ultimately going to put you in a place that you want to be.
Yes. First of all, I want to apologize for looking down. I was sharing this on different areas. I forgot to do that earlier. I apologize for that. It is. There's so many people out there like me. I've always had trouble with the other word that we use here is discipline. I've always had trouble with not being disciplined in what I want to get done. Obviously, I've done okay for myself. But look, how many stories do you know? And as time moves on, with you in life, there's going to be things that we may fail on. There's going to be mistakes we made. I believe that mistakes are okay. Here's what I heard recently. This is really great. When we are not disciplined, or we get distracted and we make mistakes. Mistakes are bruises, not tattoos. Failure is a bruise, not a tattoo, right? Which means it goes away. So the important thing we want to understand here is that making habits is extremely important. So can you give me an example, George, of a time you've had to you got distracted or you needed to make a change in something you were doing that was able to fortify your business and your strength?
Well, I would say, Dave, in the everyday. You get distractions, like you were mentioning previously, you get distractions in the everyday. Sometimes you have a certain task that you need to complete and you have certain deadlines for those tasks, and you
Right.
start getting distracted with an email here, with an email there, maybe a phone call there. You get somebody who calls you, you need to go to a listing appointment. So it's about minimizing those distractions. It's really about staying focused, because every day you're going to get distractions. That's the reality of the real estate business. And it's just about honing in. I would say prioritizing your time is very important, and just honing in on what's most important,
Okay.
managing your priorities.
Exactly. So I work with an awful lot of agents in their 20s, actually, and I know that there can be there's a let's just put it this way. For me, there's less distractions than there are for someone younger. Why? Because I have things that I like to do. I know what they are. I've really prioritized my life. I've gone through all the different things, and honestly, you know what? I did it all, been there, done that, and I still want to be 25. I'll be honest with you. I want to be 25 to 35. That's where I want to be. But I don't think I would have trouble with the distractions. Like so for you, you're a college student, you're a real estate agent. What are the things that distract you, and how do you move away from them?
Well, me in particular, Dave, I've never really been, and obviously many teenagers, I'm 20 years old, I'm very young, and many people tend to have many distractions, especially being in school. I've never really been the person, Dave, who's been very distracted with college or school or any of that stuff, the things that come with college and school. I work, I go to school for the knowledge. Many people, they go to school, they like partying, they like hanging out with friends. I go to school truly for the knowledge. I enjoy class, I enjoy learning, I pay attention in class. And I think that knowledge helps me and enables me. And I think the discipline in school, because you have certain assignments, you have certain deadlines, I think that's really, really helped me, Dave, with real estate. So I'm not really a distracted person. Obviously, in my life and everybody's life, you have certain distractions that come with being a real estate agent, that come with being a student. But I've never really been somebody, Dave, who's been distracted. I go to school, I do my work. Obviously, I need to perform at the highest level in school. And then I do work. I find real estate fun. For me, real estate is my fun. Real estate's my hobby. A lot of people like going out. They like going to the bar. They like playing sports. I like doing real estate. I find it fun, Dave, For me, it's a game. I like the sport, and I really enjoy what I do. So I don't really get many distractions. Obviously, you have distractions in the everyday, but it's really about staying focused. And I've been bred to be focused and to focus on whatever I want to do, my goals, my whole life.
Right, and it's funny. I mean, I can really relate to when I have someone on. I like to learn as much as I possibly can about
Of
them.
course. And
Aside
like
from our conversation, right? So, going through a lot of pictures of you and stuff I saw, it's just like you're like me. I mean, you when I saw you at a conference, I saw you at somewhere else that you were presenting or whatever. It's like we're having a blast. It's like our sport,
yeah,
right? We're going there, we're having fun, we're with people we like, because we have a mutual feeling, a mutual love of the business that we're doing. So I understand that's how you sport, but I got to ask you this as a side note. I mean, there's got to be a sport that you like and a team that you follow,
of
right?
course. Of course. I actually am a big sports guy, Dave. I'm a big Yankees guy. I'm a big Yankees fan. I don't like the Mets. I know you're a Yankee guy too. Big Yankee guy. I'm a big basketball guy. I like the Orlando Magic. I'm a big New York Giants guy. I love sports. I always loved sports. In high school, I played baseball, basketball, and soccer. I was a three-tier varsity athlete. So I always loved sports. I love watching sports. I love the strategy in sports. Uh, I love sports. Besides real estate, sports is my hobby. That's what I love.
So let's talk about that because you're a three sport varsity winner in high school, and you said was it soccer, baseball, and basketball?
Soccer, baseball, and basketball. My main sport, Dave, was baseball. Baseball's always been my favorite sport. I grew up loving baseball. I would watch the Yankees. I remember very vividly the 2009 championship. It's the only championship that I've lived to see from the Yankees. And I remember Derek Jeter, Johnny Damon, Jorge Posada, Andy Pettit. That's who I grew up with.
Right.
And I always loved watching the Yankees with my family, with my grandparents. I would go to the games. I still do. But I'm a big, big, big Yankee fan. And I think this year we're poised to bring number 28 home.
I believe so. So hey, I just whether anyone wants to hear it or not. For me, I became a Yankee fan in 1965. For any Yankee fans out there, they will know that that's when they started to really suck. They didn't get good till 75, 76, and I went through all those years, the 80 years of getting all the great hitters and no pitching, and then the 91, 92 where they really sucked again. And then they rebuilt this to what we've got now, which is a really, really solid team all the years. So I want to talk to you about baseball. I want to talk to you about basketball.
Talk baseball.
About sports. I want to talk to you about the athlete, right? So one of the things I say to people, I ask them about this thing that we do. What we do is something that has to be learned and something that has to be worked on. It's not a hobby. It's not something that we say, like I'm a hobbyist when it comes to golf. I love golf. I love playing golf. I played twice this year, and it takes me a long time when I don't play that often to build up to get better. Like, yes, I played yesterday. I played 18 holes yesterday. I didn't hit a really good shot until the 15th hole. It took me 14 holes to get that feeling. And my point to this is that I haven't really had time to practice. So
Dave, we have to play golf one of these days.
We absolutely will. The point is practice, right? Yes, I've hit some balls over the past few weeks. I've done some of that, but it took me 14, 15 holes to hit my stride. I parred 15, 16, 17 and a bogey on 18. So it took me that long to get that feeling, get better. By the way, I missed an eagle putt too, which really bothered me, and I 3-putted. Anyway, so the important thing I mentioned is it's that P word of practice, right? And we need to be in our stride. I say, why is there a preseason to baseball? Why is there an exhibition season? 6 weeks before the season starts, they're getting ready. They're getting into the mode. What have you seen in your career so far and your schooling about being diligent in preparation?
I think preparation is key. And I think you see that in sports, Dave. When I played sports in high school, I think, and I saw it, preparation was key. Practicing, getting ready. I was on a high voltage sports team. I went to Oratory Prep High School. We played against some of the top prospects. I played against Anthony Volpe, Jack Leiter. They're in the major leagues right now. So it's really about preparation, analyzing a game plan, analyzing the analytics, going over the statistics, finding the tendencies of certain players, pitching to their weaknesses, playing to the weaknesses of the other team, and really taking advantage of our strengths as opposed to their weaknesses. So it's all preparation, Dave. And I think if we wouldn't have been prepared for a certain amount of these games, we wouldn't have done well, and maybe we wouldn't have even won, Dave. So it's really about preparation, and I see it in real estate too. I see it in school. I see it in my whole life. If you put yourself in a position to succeed and you're prepared and you're diligent and you do your research, you do your studies, you do your analytics, you see what the tendencies are in any specific situation, I think you're going to put yourself in a good situation to be successful. But it's all about preparing. I mean, a lot of people want to jump the gun. I say shooting from the hip, where cowboys, they would take the gun off their hip and they would shoot from the hip. They wouldn't take the gun out and they wouldn't be prepared and they would ultimately miss the shot. So I always say, don't shoot from the hip. Always be prepared for a listing appointment in real estate. For example, if you're showing houses, you don't just want to show houses, Dave, and just show houses. And a lot of realtors see it, and I see it every day. You want to be prepared. You want to analyze the properties that you're showing. You want to see the pictures. What am I going to sell? What are the taxes? What's the monthly mortgage payments? Explain the numbers. What are the tax benefits of those monthly mortgage payments? And I think if you come prepared and you show properties, for example, prepared, which many agents don't do,
Right.
I think you're going to increase your success rate. It's all about preparation.
Okay, so just as an aside, I actually saw Jack Leiter pitch last week. Okay,
Yeah.
I was in Texas.
He was playing for Del Barton. We faced Del Barton in the state tournament. I'll tell you a story. Leiter was throwing 95. And it's something we've never seen before, because imagine it's high school. There's 30 MLB scouts behind home plate, Dave. He's throwing 95. Everybody has the radar guns measuring the speed of his pitches. And then you have Anthony Volpe. Anthony Volpe, nobody really paid attention to him. He was kind of in the back. Leiter was the one. He was the star. He was projected to be a first-round pick in the draft. Eventually, he was just drafted number 2 in the draft, so he's one of the best players in the world. But Anthony Volpe was just emerging. He was emerging on the scene. He was the shortstop. He hit a grand slam. He poked the grand slam the other way, and he ended up being drafted the next year, first round by the Yankees. We almost won the game, Dave, because of our game plan and the preparation. And we did a practice before the game of our coach pitching to us from 5 feet away, throwing as fast as he could so we could prepare for 95 miles per hour. Because imagine you face 70, 75, 80 miles per hour the whole season, and now you're facing 95, something we've never seen before. You need to be prepared. So we put up a fight. They ultimately won, but that really showed me the preparation that we put into it, and we almost came out with the win.
That is such a great example of preparation. I mean, I've had a lot of greats on this broadcast, and I'm going to reference 2 of them. One, Michael Hellickson, who talks about the reason why agents don't really succeed is that their Y's not big enough, and then go down to Greg Harrelson, Century 21, the Harrelson Group in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. He says that we're just not prepared. We don't practice. We're not prepared. We don't know what to say, and we're going to go out there. You talked about being prepared on, with a buyer. Being prepared is no matter what, knowing the market. I want to give you a little example of how prepared one should be. Number one, we not only need to know what's selling in the area, we not only need to know what days on the market, what the numbers are as far as average median prices. We not only need to know that. We need to know in this market that we're in 2022, and it's changing. The market is shifting. We're in a shift mode right now. But over the past 2 years, we've seen prices rise quite a bit. Would you agree with that?
I would agree.
And one of the things we've seen is that every month or 2 months, we see houses that should have gone for X going X plus Y, right, equaling Z. And now we're seeing, and what we also saw was if it was listed for X, it was getting X plus 20, X plus 30. The successful agents actually know what that average successful over asking bid was. For instance, if it's listed at 500, it sold for 520, they know the average was 20. That is a part of a statistic that is not written anywhere, but it's really the ultimate in preparation. I use this example because there's just so much unpreparedness out there. And what are some things that you do to get ready for a showing?
Well, I like to review, Dave, like I said before, the numbers. Ultimately, buyers buy numbers. Buyers don't buy houses. Buyers don't buy mortgages. Buyers buy numbers. Obviously, there's an emotional connotation to every purchase, but buyers buy numbers. And I think a problem with many real estate agents, Dave, and you'll probably agree with me, is that real estate agents don't know how to explain the numbers. They don't know how to explain the monthly mortgage payments, the taxes, the tax benefits, which I think are huge, the tax benefits of owning property. So when buyers ask me, Dave, and especially when you're selling a 2-family home, a 3-family home, which I think numbers are crucial, you need to know how to explain the numbers, the monthly mortgage, the taxes. You need to be prepared. What are the taxes? What's the square footage? What are the analytics on the property? And the tax benefits. What comes with owning a home? Your tax brackets. How do you eliminate your tax brackets? How do you bring your tax brackets down with every purchase? And I think once you pitch that, Dave, and you open their eyes, because a lot of buyers aren't informed, and it's up to us to inform them. But I think once you explain everything to them, and this is obviously what I prepare for before every showing, I review the price, I speak to the agent, I do my due diligence. And I think if you do that, Dave, and you explain the numbers and you know how to explain the numbers to the buyers, I think you're going to put yourself and your buyers in a good position to succeed.
All right, so let's change gears a little bit here. Preparation is key. Discipline is key. We've talked about discipline. We've talked about priority management through time. We've talked about preparation for shows. Now, there's another thing that I see that we don't prepare ourselves properly with as an industry. And on the top 10, 20% do it. The rest do not. And it's called proper lead generation, right?
Yep.
Generating leads. Now, everybody knows as a real estate agent, we can get leads, right? Zillow, OpCity, Realtor.com, ZBuyer. There's so many of them out there. There's so many new ones that I'm getting the calls. I know you got to be getting the calls too every week. Oh yeah, could you use a few more deals?
Everybody's getting the calls, Dave.
Right. Could you use a few more closings this month or next month? How about if I could get you this? Yeah, okay. So I usually ask them, what's the guarantee? Oh, well, there is no guarantee. I said, sorry, I can't help you. Anyway, let's talk about proper lead generation. Talk to me about the pros and cons of proper lead generation.
I think, Dave, a lot of agents, like you said before, there's a lot of different services, a lot of different platforms that offer lead generation, whether it's Zillow, whether it's Realtor.com, there's a multitude of them. And I really don't think, Dave, that's the way to go. I think many agents, they tend to move in that direction. They buy leads, they spend thousands and thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars on leads. And I think it's a waste of money, Dave. I really think it's a waste of money because you spend tens upon tens of thousands of dollars on leads. And many times they're not good leads. And it's just, you don't get the bang for your buck that you would if you generated them via a different avenue. We, for example, here in the office, we have a full marketing team and we run social media ads, Dave. We generate our own leads. We mold our own leads. We run social media ads, Google SEO algorithms, Facebook ads, Google, and we generate and we nurture our own leads. So we can spend, let's say, $1,000 on Facebook ads, on Google SEO, on Instagram advertising, and we'll generate 300 leads. But if we would have spent the same amount of money on Zillow, maybe we generate one lead. And you can go to open houses, Dave. I tell a lot of agents, why are you spending money on Zillow, spending $1,000 a month, when you can go to an open house of one of your colleagues and from that open house generate 10 leads? I think a lot of people aren't taking advantage of open houses. You get 30, 40, 50 people, sometimes more at open houses, and they're all good leads, Dave. But people, they stand at an open house, they let people walk in and out, they're not converting. I think open houses are crucial. And I see agents in this office, Dave, they join the first day in the company, they go to an open house, they have 10 leads they're working with, and they come back to the office the same day of the open house, Dave, and they have 2-3 Zoom pre-approvals. It's about knowing how to convert the lead. I would never spend money on Zillow or Realtor.com leads. I think there's different avenues. I think it's a waste of money. I think a lot of realtors are wasting their money, and I think they're going to come to realize that in the future. But open houses, for sale by owners, expired listings, Facebook ads, social media, knocking on doors. There's so many different avenues, Dave, that you can generate more bang for your buck and generate more leads than Zillow and Realtor and all these platforms that are generating and having you pay for leads.
So you use the phrase, you mold your leads. Talk to me a little bit about what you mean by that.
Well, we mold and we nurture our leads, Dave. We generate the leads and then we put them through a drip campaign where we ultimately mold them. We, for example, we're big on data. I think in the real estate industry, data is everything, and I don't think enough agents are paying attention to data. If you have the data of any given lead, Dave, if you have the email, if you have the phone number, if you have the name, if you have the analytics, you can do anything with that lead. You can put them in an email drip campaign. You can cold call them. You can send them text messages. You can do an event for all the leads. You can do a movie night in your office. With data, you can do everything. And I don't think people are paying enough attention to data. So we collect data, we scrub the data, we nurture the data, we advertise to the data, and we collect the data through Facebook leads, through Google. And ultimately we have a very high conversion rate, and they become clients. They become buyers, they become sellers. So we generate leads through Facebook ads, through Google for our office, and we distribute those leads. I really think these companies that generate leads and sell them to realtors are a waste of money.
All right, so you generate leads, you're running ads, but what I've heard is that Facebook ads aren't as strong as they used to be. Why are you being successful at it and others are not?
I think you need to know what you're doing with Facebook ads, Dave. I think it's a very complicated algorithm, but I think if you master it, you can be very successful in it. You can really squeeze a lot of juice out of it. We, for example, we have a full in-house marketing team, people that do Facebook, people that do videos, people that do an assortment of things, and that specialize in running advertisements. So we have people who actually they sit behind a computer, they analyze the charts, they analyze data, they analyze analytics, and they're the ones who ultimately create content that's going to convert, and they run the ads through that content. And we see a big return on our investment, Dave, and many of the leads are very good leads. As opposed if we were spending money on generated leads from another company, which may be good leads in many cases, we're not getting the bang for our buck or the return on investment that we're looking for. So it's really about knowing what you're doing, Dave, knowing who to target with advertisements, creating content that's going to ultimately convert. And I think if you put all those things together, I think you're going to be able to convert very good leads.
Now, granted, your experience in the business is not as much as a lot of other agents, and what you mentioned, you talked about content just a little bit. Is something like, consider picture this: a picture of two people with keys in their hand in front of a house, and the post is, "I'm so blessed to have such great clients. I just closed this home." Is that a post that makes sense to you, or is it? And there's a lot of those, and I'm sure you've seen them. What are your thoughts on a post like that?
I think I'm a big believer in videos, Dave. I think videos have taken over. I'm a strong believer in videos. And I think every time that you close a transaction, you should have a testimonial. You should have your clients do a video testimonial speaking about the experience, because video is the most powerful form of content, of advertising. And ultimately, you can use those videos to generate more leads. So I think posting your clients, I think, is important. I think that gives off a perception that shows, look, I've helped these clients purchase this home. And ultimately, perception is the reality. I do think that's important, but I'm a strong believer, Dave, in video. I think if you do video creation, I think if you focus excessively on branding, I don't think agents are focusing enough on branding. I think that'll eventually lead to creating your brand, your image, and that'll eventually lead to converting leads.
Yeah, I get that, and I like that a lot. One of the things that I noticed is video, right? Video is very, very important. It's also important to have, and you just touched on this, didn't call it this, but there's a brand array of different types of posting and content management we should do. You've talked about your ads, so people are seeing your ads, and then they're seeing you. And by the way, if anybody really wants to see what George is talking about, check him out on Instagram, because he's got great stuff, great insight on what he's talking about, and he is I forget the phrase, man beyond your years, in my opinion.
I get it a lot, Dave.
You know what you're talking about, and I like the way you do that. Let's talk about one other thing that you're in the process of doing, and you're doing it on a regular basis, and that's creating the George Castro brand. Talk to me about how you're creating your own brand, what your brand looks like.
Well, I think, Dave, creating, obviously, my father has his brand. He's also George Castro. He's George Castro II. I'm George Castro IV. So I think I've gotten, in many cases, a little bit of a catapult above many people, because my father already created the brand and the name, and a lot of people know him. But obviously, I'm in the process of creating my own brand. And it's really about content creation, about building, about reputation. I think reputation is huge. The moment you break your reputation, I mean, it's over. I think you need to be very diligent. You need to be disciplined. If you show people you're serious, if you show people you're diligent in what you do and you know what you're talking about and you're knowledgeable, I think you're going to be able to build a worthwhile brand. And it's really about branding, Dave. Success comes from branding. I think agents should focus excessively on branding. And I think if they do that, they're going to be very successful. But it's about social media, about print advertising, about knocking on doors for sale by owners. Your sphere of influence, branding within that sphere of influence. And if you do that, you're going to be very successful.
Okay, so you talk about sphere of influence, you talk about video, you talk about branding. So is it just posting here and there? Is it just getting out there a little bit, doing a little bit video here and there? What is the all encompassing method to building that brand for you, George Castro?
It's really doing, Dave, what other people aren't. I think many people, especially in real estate, and I see it every day, they tend to move in the direction of others. I think if you stand out, if you do things that are different, if you do things that nobody's ever done before, here at Premier Homes, for example, we're in the midst of a huge renovation. We're building a beautiful new office. We're doing things that nobody's ever seen before. We're incorporating a lot of technology into our office and resources for agents. I think if you do things that other people aren't doing and you stand out, you need to be able to differentiate yourself. You need to be able to stand out from the crowd. And if you do that, I think you're going to capture attention, and that's ultimately going to enable you in building your brand.
Okay, so tell me, what's the George Castro IV brand?
The George Castro IV brand is an agent who's knowledgeable, an agent who's disciplined, who's diligent, and who always strives for the best performance. I mean, we harp this within our agents here in the office. We're winners. We're game changers. We're here to change the game. We're here to do things that nobody's ever done. And it's about having that winning mentality, the drive, the determination, the excellence, always striving for perfection. We always strive for perfection, and we always put our clients in the best positions to succeed.
There you go. So that's really cool. So all right. So you're full-time college student, full-time real estate agent. What does the real estate business, what does it look like for you over the next couple of years, and then ultimately in the next 5 years, let's say?
Let's see, Dave. I love real estate. Obviously, I'm a real estate agent. I love building. I really, really love building. I love the art of building. When I was small, I would always use building blocks, and I would build big towers and big buildings. I love it. I see it as a game. I see it as an art. I think real estate is an art. You, for example, get a piece of property, you fix it up, you do your touches, whatever you want to do. You fix up a property. And I really enjoy the art, the game, the sport. I enjoy real estate. I don't see it, Dave, as a business. And I think a lot of people do it for the money alone. I think if you do it for the money alone, eventually that's going to catch up and you're not going to be successful. I do it for sport. I do it for game. I do it because I love it. And when you do something because you love it, eventually the money will flow.
Okay. So, oh man, I was lost my train of thought there for a second. Hold on. You do it for the love of the sport. You do it for it. If you do it for what you because you enjoy doing it, the money will flow. But George, you're talking as someone. I'm going to play devil's advocate here. You're talking as someone that you're pretty set. I don't know what your situation is with personal and everything else, but you know what? You're 20 years old. How do you know that I can actually do it for the love of the game without making money? But I need to make money. What do I do?
I think, Dave, if you're smart, I think if you ultimately, I think you need to love what you do. I think if you love what you do, if you have ambition, if you have goals, and you have a certain drive to succeed, I think you're going to be able to do whatever you want. I mean, I truly believe that. I think if you really want something and you do what it takes to get there, I think you're going to be able to get there. But it really takes discipline, like we were talking about before, Dave. Discipline, consistency, and thinking big. I harp very, very big on thinking big. A lot of people, if you're going to think at all, you might as well think big. The bigger you think, I think the bigger your success is going to be. A lot of people, they say, I want to reach this. And I actually made a video about this on my Instagram. They say, look, my goal is to ultimately make $10 million.
That's it.
But you can never if that's your goal, you will never be able to exceed that goal, because that's what your ultimate goal is. I want to make $10 million. That's my goal. And what my response to people who say that, it's an amazing goal and it's an amazing feat, but why don't you think bigger? The bigger you think, the more success you'll have. I always tell people, if you're going to waste your time thinking at all, you might as well think big. And that's what I hurt myself in doing. I'm a big thinker. I'm a forward thinker. And I think ultimately, if you have certain goals and you move towards those goals and you do the things necessary to complete those goals and you think big, I think you're going to be able to do that. But you need to be very smart. You need to be very driven. You need to be consistent. You need to be loyal. My father always taught me loyalty is the biggest thing in business, and whatever it is, always be loyal, always be consistent, always be disciplined, and always be dependable. I think those things are very important.
Okay, quick question as we near the end here. One thing that you could give advice to a young agent such as yourself, something that you may have missed, something you would like to do differently, what would you tell them?
I would say I'm very early in my career, Dave. I'm still learning. I think if you think you've reached the point where you don't learn anymore, I think that's a very big problem. You're always learning. I'm learning every day. But I would say just stay consistent, stay disciplined, and think big. Above everything, I think thinking big, being smart, staying focused, like we spoke about before, it's an attribute of things. It's a wide array of things, a multitude. But I'm learning every day, Dave. Every single day is a learning experience. I read a lot. I love reading books. I think reading books is amazing. I would encourage everybody to read books. I like reading 2-3 books every week. I really, really pride myself, and I enjoy reading, watching videos on YouTube, watching interviews, studying real estate. I really, really love it. I think you need to keep an open mind. You cannot, once you have a closed mind, Dave, I think you limit your potential greatly. You need to keep an open mind, and you always have to continue learning.
Absolutely. I mean, in other words, what you said is be a student. Be a student of what you love to do. So I got 2 more things here. One is a question and one is a comment. So the first thing is, how can I help you grow your business?
I've been a big fan of your show, Dave, of the podcast. I think it's excellent. Anybody that's watching, I would recommend go through the podcast, go through the videos on YouTube. I wake up in the morning. I wake up usually 5:36 in the morning, and I listen to podcasts. I read books. That's what I enjoy doing. That's how I fuel my knowledge. And it's an amazing podcast, Dave. I think there's a lot of knowledge. I listen to it almost every day, and I really, really need to commend you for that. But I know we had an off-camera conversation. You taught me a lot. You actually taught me something a few days ago when we were doing the prep for this interview. And I always have an open mind. I'm always looking to learn. So any advice, Dave, that you have for me, I'm 100% open to it.
I think you keep going on your track. You're going to do great. You've got great mentors there. You've got great people. I mean, your dad is just one of my amazing mentors. I will tell you, I watched everything he does. I mean, the processes and the marketing that your company has is absolutely amazing. And there's no reason why most companies can't have it. They just don't.
Yeah.
So
and my apologies for cutting you off, Dave, but I do need to attribute. I mean, ultimately, God is number one. I'm very, very faithful. I'm a big believer in God. I think that's very, very important. But I heard Jeff Bezos in an interview say many times, many people throughout their life, they win different lotteries, whether it's in business, whether it's in life. And with the family that I have, Dave, my mother, my father, my sister, the rest of my family, I won the lottery. And every day we continue winning lotteries, but I won the lottery, and I'm very grateful.
I only have 2 words for that. Holy shit. I love that. I mean, that's just beautiful. So I mean, this has been a great time for me, as always. I mean, we've got great people we've had. We got another great guy coming up next week. His name is Elias Estudo, who is the COO of Fast Realty, the fastest growing individual real estate company team in the country. And him, along with his partner Kenny Trug, who has been a guest on this broadcast, will be here next week. So I want to thank you so much for coming on, George. And this is how we've got his number and his email address and his Instagram on. He's got a great Instagram account. Go check that out. And me, you can always reach me at the Dave Finale. Yep, that's right. It's at the Dave Finale all the other places you can find us. Thank you for NJ Heroes program for sponsoring the program. And last but not least, the unveiling of the brand new hat. And you're going to get one.
I need my hat, Dave. Dave, I'm going to start wearing that hat every day. We've got
the new hats with the new color. The logo is the same, just the color change. And we've got the new ones in. George, thank you so much. Please stay on for a second as we go off. Let's just check this last comment here. And I'm just going to put that up there from Jacob, Game Changers. Thank you so much, Jacob, John, Jim, Clark, Carl, everybody for watching today. I want to thank you so much. And let's see, are we set to go almost? Yeah, we are, man. Hey, thanks so much, man. I'll see you real soon. Stay on for a minute.